Mitch Marner is the hottest name coming up in free agency, but today we'll explain why seeing him in Predators gold is nothing short of a long shot.
You're Locked On Predators, your daily podcast on the Nashville Predators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to the Locked On Predators podcast. Thanks so much for making us your first listen of the day. We are, of course, your free daily Nashville Predators podcast. We are a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Want to kick off our episode the way we kick off all of our episodes, and that is with a shout out to our Locked On Predators insider community and to our everydayers who tune in to talk Nashville Predators hockey with us. I'm Kimmel. I am a writer and co-host with Penalty Box Radio, and my friends, I have a partner in crime.
You do. I am Emma Lingan, and I'm the Predators site editor and reporter for the Hockey News.
Well, today, Emma, we are going to talk about the giant maple leaf in the room. It appears that Mitch Marner may be looking for a new team, and of course, many Predators fans are asking, why not here? Well, today we're going to have the Marner to Nashville conversation. It may disappoint some Predators fans, but Emma and I are going to lay out the pros and cons of Marner to Nashville. Emma, this is the hot conversation across the NHL as soon as the Maple Leafs were eliminated. It is what's next for Mitch Marner. And of course, he didn't help his case because in the post playoff interviews and kind of the locker room clean out, he referred to things in the past tense. I have loved my time here, and nothing stirs a drama cauldron like past tense. So now everybody is speculating, where is Mitch Marner going to go? So just to review his stats this season, he played 81 games in the regular season, 27 goals, 75 assists, 105 points. That's triple digits, you all. In the postseason, 13 games played, 2 goals, 11 assists for 13 points. He is 28 years old. He was the 2015 4th overall pick for the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's been a Maple Leaf all this time, but he may be looking around, Emma. So I think we kick it off with, let's play the part of Mitch Marner. If you are Mitch Marner, what are you looking for when it comes to this next chapter in your career? What is it at the top of your list? What is important to Mitch Marner right now?
Well, I want to be paid top dollar.
Yeah.
I want to be signed long term.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be in a place where I can win, in the time that I'm there. And quite honestly, and this is based off of, information that I have been told, I want to be somewhere where I am not going to be the scapegoat for my team's problems every time we can't win in the playoffs, or every time something bad goes wrong. He doesn't want to be the piñata anymore that keeps getting beat up on. And quite honestly, now, like with his status and his pedigree, I don't know if he's ever gonna not be the piñata wherever he is, unless he starts, producing in the playoffs. But yeah, I don't know if you're gonna get all of those things wherever you go, but that is what I'm looking for if I'm Mitch Marner.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think if I am Mitch Marner, you hit on this, I think a championship is key, because what would feel better to Mitch Marner than going somewhere else and winning a Stanley Cup and being able to say to yourself, and maybe not out loud, but with your eyes, it wasn't me. It wasn't always me. I wasn't the only problem. I wasn't the problem child, and so I do think he's got to be weighing that. Like, I want to get to that point, and somewhere else may be the better bet. I think we all know that Toronto is probably looking to do something a little bit different. They're not going to keep doing the same thing and getting the same result. And I think Marner is going to be one of those people where looking out might be a better opportunity. I think it's so interesting you talk about going somewhere where he isn't the one kind of holding the emotional poop bag. And there is something to be said for that. A change of scenery, getting away from the spotlight in Toronto. But I also think Mitch Marner wants to be a star. I think he is somebody who wants to be a main part of a team. I think that's when that has been your entire experience in the NHL. I think it would be a big adjustment for him to go somewhere and not be the guy. Like when I think of and I'm just literally pulling this out as an example, I'm thinking about Colorado. You've got Nathan McKinnon, you've got Cale Makar. Do you want to be number 3 Mitch Marner? I don't know. That's something for him to think about. But I do think a change of scenery is going to be big for him.
I mean, he's kind of coming from that in Toronto. I mean, there's Austin Matthews, Willie Nylander, and Marner, and Peggy.
And
that's
Peggy.
just kind of and throw in John Tavares in there with the year that he's had too. And I think that, I mean, it's essentially being treated as a foregone conclusion that Marner's out in Toronto, because I think, Tavares, he's also a free agent, but we're at his age and this stage in his career, I do think he'll, accept a team friendly deal to re-sign with them. They got to get Matthew Nyes signed to an extension. I just don't think that, it doesn't make sense for them to give Marner what he's going to be demanding. And I think wherever he goes, yes, he's going to be the guy. But if you look at it, like, let's say Mitch Marner ends up in like a Chicago. If Chicago doesn't make the playoffs this year, it's not going to be Mitch Marner's fault. Like, no one is expecting that.
That's very true.
If he goes to, like you said, a Colorado, I think that, you can still be a guy there. Like, he was a guy in Toronto, but he's not the only guy. So I think that a lot of things go into that. Like, your management, your front office, your coaching staff, your media market, like, just so much goes into that. So I think that, there are different ways to kind of get the right combination of things that you're looking for, but I don't know that he's going to get it all.
Yeah. Money is definitely a big question. Now, he finished the regular season 5th in points behind Kucherov, who makes $9.5 million, McKinnon, who makes $12.6 million, Draisaitl, $14 million, Pasternak, $11.25 million. He's at $10.9 million is where he's at now. He is going to be looking for a payday. You look at some other players, but in different markets. You look at Kyle Connor, $7.15 million. Mitch Marner is not going to take a $7 million deal. Jack Eichel, a $10 million deal. At this point in his career, I don't think Mitch Marner is going to take a $10 million deal. He is looking for a raise. And I think that is something that you have to weigh out. He is going to have to weigh that out. Do I want a Stanley Cup? How soon do I want it? And how much money am I willing to give up to get there? And money's a factor here, and it's going to be a factor when you start talking about Marner to Nashville. Coming up, we're going to talk about what Nashville needs and the money. Would a change of scenery be good for Marner here in Nashville? And is Nashville looking for what Marner has? We're going to talk about that coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by our great friends at Wonderful Pistachios. If you are looking for that snack that is both delicious and nutritious, you need to crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they are packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller cooler longer. I am personally a no shells variety kind of girl. It is a perfect grab and go snack for busy days, whether you are running around in your car or busy working at your desk. When you need that quick protein boost, it is a wonderful go-to. And if you love cracking open every shell for that satisfying crunch, the in-shell options are a classic favorite. So get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. We're talking about Mitch Marner and Nashville, and I'm not sure if this is a marriage made in heaven, Emma. We talked about what we think Mitch Marner is probably looking for, and now you have to ask yourself, is Nashville a good fit, and what does Nashville need? And I mean, let's just say the quiet part out loud. Let's just have a Jonathan Marchessault moment here. Because last offseason, Steven Stamkos, Jonathan Marchessault, and Brady Skjei all signed here. And I don't know yet that they would give a resounding recommendation for how great a fresh start in Nashville feels after last season. Now, do we know that that's going to happen again? That's a podcast for another day, my friends, and one we're definitely going to get to. But there is work that needs to happen in the offseason, even off the ice. If you were thinking you were going to add another big piece into this Nashville locker room, I don't know that, Marner stepping back and looking at big picture what happened for Steven Stamkos is something that's going to make him go, where would be a great place to turn the page? Bridgestone Arena.
Yeah, no, I don't think anyone in the NHL is looking at Nashville as a place that they want to come right now. For not saying ever, not saying Nashville has been permanently blackballed, but I mean, if you're at that stage in your career where you're looking for a big old payday and you want to win like now, yeah, I don't think you're looking at Nashville.
No. And there is enough uncertainty after last season, and I'm talking straight up coaching. You just have to be honest. Andrew Brunette has to prove to the team that he's got this. Barry Trotz gave him a resounding, vote of confidence, which is what a GM has to do if he is going to keep him. But if I am Mitch Marner, I would want a veteran coach who isn't on the hot seat, because you know what's worse than coming into a new place is coming into a new place and going through a coaching change. That's a tough sell. And I think had last season looked different for the Nashville Predators and for Marchessault and Skjei and Stamkos, it would have maybe been a great sell. But we got to deal with what was, and what was not so great. I'm curious, Emma, and we, just being on the other side of it, what is the difference? If you're Mitch Marner, how shocking is the media difference? How shocking would that difference be going from Toronto to Nashville?
That is one thing where I would say Nashville would have a huge leg up on whatever
100%.
competition there is. He would love the Nashville media, or lack
You're
thereof
delightful.
compared to Toronto. We are so nice. We're so nice. Not even just the media as in the literal media, in the room, but I mean the media attention. These guys can walk down the street in Nashville and no one knows who they are, but you're not doing that in Toronto. Everyone knows the Leafs. It's the same way in Edmonton, Montreal. They're big hockey towns, and you can't really escape the celebrity there. So if one of his biggest issues was being the piñata, being, the media's whipping boy in Toronto, I mean, first of all, if you play in Toronto, you're going to be the media's whipping boy just by nature of the fact that you play there. So he would love Nashville in that regard. I would say that would probably be the one, if he was making a pro and con list for Nashville. Pros would be that and the no state tax, and then everything else would be on the other side probably.
Yeah. I mean, Dolly Parton lives here. Okay. Garth Brooks lives here. Like Mitch Marner, walk freely amongst your neighbors and nobody is going to bother you at all.
I
That
don't
is one of the
understand how many.
upsides.
Do you know how many people in Nashville don't even realize like we have a hockey team here? Like
Yeah.
it's just yeah. I mean, I'm that upsets me, but for these guys, it's kind of nice. Like
Mhm.
it's one of the big reasons Ryan O'Reilly wanted to come here because he can walk down the street toothless and all. No one knows who he is.
Well, and I have heard too, of course, we talk about Matthias Ekholm being here and then getting traded to Edmonton. He was so taken aback in Edmonton because people would approach him
Yeah.
and know who he was. And his experience in Nashville was I walk freely amongst the people and
Yeah.
nobody pays any attention to me except I look like a giant Viking and I go about my business and it's just not a thing. But like you said, you go to Edmonton, you probably aren't
Mhm.
at Whole Foods looking for the ketchup without someone going, "Hey, Matthias Ekholm, can I help you find the ketchup?" You're
Yeah.
on your own here in Whole Foods, Mitch Marner, which, like
Yeah.
you said, this could be a selling point. When it comes down to it, one of my biggest concerns, and look, I get you always get excited with the potential for somebody like this. We felt it last off season. But I come down to Nashville is in this weird place where you are trying to thread the needle and you cannot overcommit one way or the other. This is the tricky spot that Barry Trotz is in. And kudos for him for going for the, now and not yet and trying to thread that needle in a way that doesn't cost you the not yet. But I don't know how you thread the needle with the term that Mitch Marner is going to be looking for and still make room for the not yet. You're going to have to get someone out. The bottom line is someone has to go if you're going to afford Mitch Marner. That's just what it is. And while it may be really exciting in that win now mode, and like I said, he's only 28. He's not, old as a box of rocks. But is he the right bridge piece for the Nashville Predators when it comes to where they need to be in the not yet portion of Barry Trotz's plan that's in pencil?
Yeah, Mitch Marner's not a bridge piece. He's just not. And again, I'm not saying that 28 is old, but can you imagine like a 28-year-old signing a 7-year contract because that's what it would have to be. It would have to be a
Mhm.
max term contract. 28 years old signing a 7-year deal. I mean, people are mad that they did that with Brady Skjei
Brady
and he
Skjei.
was 30. And so I mean, I know it's 2 years, but still at the end of the day, like it's essentially the same. And so I think that the contract would age poorly in the minds of Nashville Predators fans like the moment he underperforms in like his first year.
Bless.
They'd
Yes.
be doing what they're doing with Brady Skjei and everyone else. And like, oh, you shouldn't have paid him this much. Man, now you're stuck with him. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of a no-win situation because here's another thing. Mitch Marner, and again, I hate the argument when with certain players like, well, he's only good because he played with this guy. Like people were saying
Mhm.
that about Steven Stamkos. Oh, well, he came to Nashville and he sucks. Well, that's because he was only good with
Kucherov.
Kucherov. And it's like, no, no. But I will say for a winger like Mitch Marner, it helps that you've been playing with elite centers your entire career. You come to Nashville and you expect him, if you bring him to Nashville and you expect him to produce at the same level and you don't put an elite playmaking center with him because I'm sorry, Nashville doesn't have an elite playmaking center. You need to go get one. That's like you're not getting all the pieces of the puzzle.
That's right. Coming up, we are going to talk about that and lean into that. Which needs to come first, the chicken, the egg, the Mitch Marner, or the elite center? Let's wrestle with that. Emma, I want to just emphasize what you were just talking about, because as amazing as it would be to get an elite player like Mitch Marner, what Nashville really needs is a center. And we've talked about this ad nauseum. You know, you can't just go out and pluck an elite center out of thin air. It is a challenge. And so you say, well, I know, then maybe we go out and we get this elite winger and we make it happen with a winger. But exactly what you said, who is the playmaker with him? Right now, Steven Stamkos could be, maybe, depending on what Barry Trotz does in the offseason, likely going to be your top line center. You've got Ryan O'Reilly as a center. Fedor Svechkov is not ready yet to be that, Mitch Marner centerpiece. Even if the Nashville Predators, with the number 5 pick overall in this draft, find themselves with a center, which they really need to, that player is not Mitch Marner ready, and is not going to be Mitch Marner ready for several seasons. And so you have to weigh out, is it a waste at this time to sign a Mitch Marner when you don't necessarily have the playmaker to go with him? Could Steven Stamkos be a good center for Marner? Yeah, he could be, but Steven Stamkos is only here for a few more seasons. And then what? And then what happens? Fedor Svechkov is still developing. Is he going to take this gigantic leap and raise the ceiling to be a 1C? We don't know that. And then what? They're going to go and they're going to draft a number 5 pick overall, and they may hopefully get themselves a quality center, but that center may not be ready for 3 seasons. And then what do you do with Mitch Marner in the meantime? So you are going to be paying him a tremendous amount of money. He's going to be your highest paid player on the roster, hands down, no question. And what are you going to do with him? I think it's a tricky thing. It is so appealing. It is so appealing. And I think I would be more on the train, Emma, if I did not have off-season signing PTSD from last year. If I hadn't seen what we saw and then watched literally with my own bleeding eyeballs, nothing come to fruition yet from it. And I'm not saying that nothing can come. I think next season's going to be very, very interesting. But so far, these big off-season swings that Barry Trotz has taken, they haven't paid off yet. And Mitch Marner is going to be even more expensive. He's going to cost the team even more, not just in money, but in a roster, who they're going to have to get out to pay him. And I don't know that it's worth it. I don't.
It's not. Like, full stop. It's not.
It's not.
I mean, the thing is, this team is more than a Mitch Marner away from being a Stanley Cup caliber team. Mm-hmm. They are more than a Mitch Marner away.
Yeah.
And so this is not a guy that you're, like I said before, it's not a guy that you're signing to be a bridge piece for anything, because that's not a good fit for him. Like, in his career, it's not a good fit for the team. So, like, why would you try to force that?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it would feel different if this was happening next offseason and we had some idea of what the Predators can put together with the pieces that they have. And if we had some idea of the coaching works, the players are bought in, then maybe it would be more interesting of a conversation. I don't know that I would land any differently than where we're landing right now, which is, this is probably not a good fit, but I think it would be a more interesting conversation. The window is just not lining up right on a number of levels for Nashville and Mitch Marner. It's going to be interesting to see where he goes. It's going to be interesting to hear all of the conversations that are going to be surrounding any move Mitch Marner makes. I just don't think he's going to end up here in Nashville. And I think, as disappointing as it may be, I think it's probably the right move for Nashville too. Speaking of moves and Nashville, we have to report that on Sunday evening, the Milwaukee Admirals lost Game 5 to the stinking Texas Stars, who are advancing to the Western Conference Finals. It's the first time in 3 seasons that the Admirals will not be making the Western Conference Finals. So rough, such a rough game. It was a 3-2 game. It was so close. It was great hockey. And it just killed me to see how just disappointed Carl Taylor was. I'm a huge Carl Taylor fan. That was such a brutal loss. I think it was very beneficial for players like Svechkov, Delgaizo, Stasny, Ryan Ufko, these players that we got a chance to see in Nashville. But Emma, it's over. It's over in Milwaukee.
It is.
So
it
sad.
is. I am sad about that for multiple reasons, one of which being, I know I hate to say it, but the future in Nashville is not looking great for Mark Delgaizo, and we are locked on Mark Delgaizo.
We are. He is the patron saint of Locked On Predators, and it's
Yes.
not encouraging.
No. After the Predators signed Andreas Englund because sure. And they've got enough of the left shot defenseman, and that's not to say that he hasn't done enough, to prove that. The problem is he is NHL ready, but there's just not room for him in Nashville. And that's the thing. So, that makes me sad. Good for Svechkov. Like we said, I think this was good for him. Good for guys like Kimmel as well. Still just like, it is a little interesting to me because when I was looking at the lineup for game 5, like the starting 5,
Yes,
it was like O'Reilly, Matt Murray was in goal. Who else? Like Ryder Rolston. Now I'm like trying to think of some of the other names,
Chase
but it was like
DeLeo. Some players
Chase
we
DeLeo.
haven't seen. He had a great postseason. Yeah, Chase DeLeo.
But it's like, there could be something to this. The Predators cannot draft and develop forwards because, like, where were they? It was all like guys that they've signed later, and it was like, oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So
Matt Murray was amazing in game 5. I mean, the saves he made he had a couple saves where literally the Texas guy started to celebrate and everybody else was like, no, he saved it. Sorry, dude. Sorry, dude. The other really cool thing, something that we're going to, this is a positive, is the Men's World Championships. Team USA won the gold medal. And you know what that means, ladies and gentlemen? That means Michael McCarron and Brady Skjei won gold medals. And you know what that means? That means Anne is going to ask them, how often do you wear your gold medal around the house?
Well, it's Michael McCarron, Brady Skjei, also Predators head video coach Lawrence Filoni, assistant GM Jeff Kelty, and equipment manager Pete Rogers, all on the staff for Team USA. I don't know if you've seen it, but anyone listening can go on, just search on social media, Michael McCarron. You'll find the video of him dancing in the locker room after the game, Born in the USA by Bruce Springsteen. It's so pure.
Great.
It'll melt your heart. You're like, the kind of season that he has been through in Nashville. It's like, you know what? You celebrate. You dance, Michael McCarron. It's great.
Dance like nobody's watching except friend the camera's on you, and it is all over social media now. But it was great. I thought Brady Skjei had a really great gold medal game too. Loved to see it. He had the secondary assist on the overtime game-winning goal. But I just thought overall he played such a great game. So huge for them. Love that. So much. We still, of course, we are recording this Monday evening. Carolina is going to be facing off against Florida in just a few minutes. So we don't know the outcome of that. Sadly, I feel like I can guess. Emma, I'm just saying.
I think a lot of people are, let's just say, I think a lot of people are going to be surprised if we have a game 5 in this series.
Gosh. What
It's been,
happened? What happened? What has happened to Carolina? I was banking on them.
the problem is Carolina and Florida, they actually play a very similar style of hockey, but Florida's players are better.
Better.
They are better. They are bigger. That's the other thing. They're bigger and they're more physical.
They're meaner.
And they're meaner. They're better. They also have more depth. Like they're gonna have. I mean, they lose Sam Reinhart. They lose Nico Mikkola. They lose. I want to say AJ Greer. I think is also gonna be out, and they can just plug in 3 more guys and be just fine. Like plug in 3.
You
Plug
don't
in.
notice.
You can plug in Ann, Emma, and the popcorn vendor, and you would not notice. It'd be fine.
Well, I think
Like,
you might. If I had to skate backward, you might notice. But yeah,
you wouldn't notice in the result of the game. The
there
outcome.
you go. There you go. I probably would not make the stat sheet, but yeah. And I have to say, Edmonton and Dallas. I did not know. I was hopeful. Not gonna lie, Matthias Ekholm. I need that redemptive Stanley Cup moment for him. Edmonton has done such a great job of handling Dallas. And Stuart Skinner. Stuart, y'all doubted me. Bite me now, Skinner. Had some things to say in these games. Very interesting Western Conference final, I think, too.
Yeah, Skinner is interesting. I think the goaltending matchup in this one is interesting because very different trajectories between these two goaltenders. I mean, Jake Ottinger, amazing through the regular season, amazing up until this point in the playoffs, but gets to the Western Conference final and he struggles. And that is now the second year in a row that has happened. Meanwhile, Skinner, second year in a row that this has happened. I mean, he struggled in the regular season. He gets chased in the first round, comes back, struggles more, but now he's got 3 shutouts and he's turning it on. In the conference final, he shows up when it matters the most. And I'm not implying that Jake Ottinger isn't showing up and it's going to be his fault if Dallas doesn't win. But the point being that, like, timing is everything in a lot of these things. And I don't know that, it's funny to me how fickle the narratives can be around some of these players too, because remember after Winnipeg struggled so much against St. Louis, they struggled against Dallas. Hellebuck looked really bad against St. Louis, and people are saying, well, it might be time we're going to pass the torch for the best American goalie. It's going from Hellebuck to Ottinger, and now Ottinger's starting to struggle, and everyone's like, oh, this Ottinger kid sucks. And it's like, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Simmer down. Simmer down. Simmer down. It's been fun. It's been interesting to me to watch Edmonton be able to contain Dallas, but they also, and this is what Edmonton does, they have 9 lives. I swear to you, they're a cat. They have 9 lives. They can capitalize on the most minute mistake that a team makes. I mean, Dallas doesn't, just any little, can't get it out of the zone for a split second too long. Cha-ching. It's fascinating what Edmonton can do when Edmonton is playing at the top of their game. Fascinating to me. Against a really good Dallas team, y'all. Dallas is no joke.
Yeah, we talk about Dallas having depth, which they do, but it hasn't been showing up for them in this series so much. Meanwhile, it's Edmonton's depth that has been showing up. It's been guys like Ryan Nugent Hopkins. There, I'll get it right. You got guys like Evander Kane and just guys like that who are showing up. And it's like, not to say, of course, having Draisaitl and McDavid certainly helps, and they've been contributing too. It's not like they've just disappeared, but you're getting contributions from throughout the lineup. So
it's amazing. Timing is everything in the postseason, friends. Timing is everything with Mitch Marner as well. Don't think it's the right time for Nashville and Mitch Marner, but let us know what you think. Drop us a comment in the comment section of this YouTube video. Shout us out on social media. Let us know what you think at LO_Predators. You want Marner in Nashville? Give us your argument for it. We'd love to hear it. Before we log off today, Emma, will you let everyone know where they can find you and your work?
You can find me on social media at Emma_Lingan, and you can find my work at the Hockey News.
You can find me on social media at @AnnK_Mama on Ice. You can find my work with Penalty Box Radio as well. Friends, that's going to do it for this Tuesday edition of the Locked On Predators podcast. Thanks so much for making us your first listen of the day. We will be back tomorrow with an all new episode. We'll see you then.